So, AJ, what's up with that mug you're drinking out of?
Oh, yeah. It's in the hospital again. Tragic peekaboo accident. They put me in the ICU.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
It's 2 minutes for roping. I like that. You're a jabroni.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday night. It's What the Show. I'm one of our co-hosts. My name's AJ Lancaster.
Yeah, that just happened.
Who else?
What's going on, everybody? Just me tonight, Bethany. Taking the night off. Going to be traveling this weekend, and she's just needs a little bit of extra rest. So just me for tonight, coming from Georgia. Of course, Mr. Juice.
Yes. Coming from Wisconsin. Repping the great Arizona World Series. Future Hall of Famer Zach Ertz.
Those are words that make sense.
Not both Arizona Cardinals and Diamondbacks World Series and Super Bowl champions 2023/2024.
I'm pretty sure the Arizona Cardinals are playing the Diamondbacks in the World Series. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Nailed
Zach
it.
Ertz will
That's
be
exactly
MVP.
it. Yep.
My fantasy team is falling apart, and I'm losing all hope in reality.
So, John, for context, during our fantasy football draft here, Juice had a pack of 2014 football cards, and he said jokingly before the stream started he was going to pull out, and whatever position it was is who he'd take. But if it was a current player, he would take them. In the fourth round of our draft, he pulled the Zach Ertz card. So he
my
to his word,
God.
he took them.
Is this a pay to play league? Is this guy you just rolling with extra cash, dude?
Yeah.
Well,
It's a $20
it's all for charity anyway. So,
But Moose Haas, by the end of the stream, convinced him to buy that jersey.
yeah, for like $30 from some poor Chinese kid that probably stitched it together.
How much? $30?
Like $30 jersey.
Wow.
It's not bad.
I like how you have it officially hung over the back of a chair.
Yeah.
Now it
A
can't
weird
be
place.
touched. Yeah.
As you all can see, we once again always love having John Hoey is here today. John, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thanks a lot for having me. It was good seeing 2 out of 3 of you at MetLife in August for Metallica, Pantera, and Mammoth VH. Is that what it goes?
Mammoth WVH.
Mammoth WVH, right? Yeah, Eddie's kid. I only caught the tail end of his set, but he sounded pretty good.
The issue we had, because we were sitting, you were one section lower than us. When we for the first night were in our seats up high, we got moved down to the 100s for Metallica, but the sound, like especially during Mammoth, it like bounced around the arena. So like you were hearing almost like an echo when he was playing.
Yeah.
Like
enough
they
bodies.
sounded like Coheed from where we were.
So as we told you, John, backstage, we like to do our plugs right away. That way we make sure that we don't forget them with the way that our structure of our show goes lately. So tell everybody what you've been up to lately.
What have I been up to lately? Well, I'm co-host on a Star Wars podcast called The Resistance Broadcast. We put out 2 episodes every week, Mondays and Fridays. If there is a show that's going on in Star Wars, we go live and we do that. But we go live every Thursday. But like when Star Wars puts a show out, we'll go live on Wednesday nights. But anyway, it's The Resistance Broadcast. It's me and my co-host, James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. You can find us on any podcast app. Just look up The Resistance Broadcast or TRB. And also we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@theResistanceBroadcast, and on social medias at TRB Podcasts. And then I have a movie podcast, which me and my best friend from 25 years talk about old movies that we love, even though we know a lot of people might not listen to certain episodes. Like we did Orgasmo, for example. We're not climbing the podcast charts talking about Orgasmo, but we did that.
I love Orgasmo.
That's what I'm saying, man. So that's called Just Like the Movies. If you like two friends going back to the old times when you could smell a theater, walk into a video store, melt your on the dashboard, melt your VHS tape, all that stuff, that's a good podcast for you. So check out Just Like the Movies. And then for me, I'm usually crying about the Yankees and Star Wars fandom and a lot of other crap like that, and heavy metal, of course, on social media at Johnny Hoey. That's me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, the aesthetic that we pulled up to you for that Metallica concert tailgating. You got the pickup truck with the pirate flag, the stogie, the grill. Dude, it was chef's kiss. That was a beautiful aesthetic you pulled off there.
That's awesome.
We had to go for it because I have two kids, and me and my brother were so psyched to go on this, and one of them, our other friends, was supposed to come with us, but he shattered his leg on a trampoline. So the truck you're talking about, that was the guy who stepped in, who was another buddy of ours, and he goes all in when it comes to tailgating. So we had all the coolers and all the beers and all the grill and all that shit, and I just rolled up with
too much.
I rolled up with some smokes and a Ultimate Warrior action figure and was ready to go.
That was delightful. That whole weekend for us was crazy. Like we had a whirlwind of a weekend, but
you guys traveled a lot, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, we were like, I got back from my flight on Monday. And I flew home. I flew into Orlando. I went to my parents first, and I drove back the next day. I got to my parents, and I fell asleep for like 7 hours.
And then the other thing that was going on that was crazy during that, like my favorite part of this was, so night one of Metallica, Mike and I raced down from the mid 300 section of MetLife down to seats 101 and 102. And did it in 5 minutes during the intro, right? So during all that craziness, all that traveling. By the way, I was also in the stages of I was in like the middle stages of congestive heart failure at the time. Didn't know that.
What?
Yeah.
How you doing, by the way, man? You all right?
Doing good. But that's
Streamlabs.
Yep, that's when mentioned streamlabs.com/whattheshow/tip.
That's a transition right there.
Yep. So usually for What the Show, any of our donations go to a cause because we don't go to improve the quality of the programming. But my co-hosts here were so gracious for September and October that any donations are going to help us out with some pending medical bills, things like that. So anything you guys do there is appreciated, but never ever required. Thank you so much. I feel so much love from this community. But yeah, it's one of those things. Next week we go back to charities, so pretty awesome there.
Wait, how'd you guys get down to the 100s? Did you get upgraded, or did you just sneak in there? Like,
no, this was funny. So I know a lot of people in the fan club, and a friend of mine messages me like right after Pantera gets done, and she's like, "I see you're up in the 300s. We have 2 sets of tickets tonight." Because they bought the 2 night tickets, and a friend of theirs bought 4 tickets just for night 1.
Oh,
so she's like, "Here's the QR codes. Go use my tickets." And so I was like, "Okay." We literally were like in the end zone in the front row, but there was like a slight, not for me, but for some people it would have been. We were right behind the soundboard, so if you were sitting and in row 1, so if you were sitting down, you could not see. So because we were standing, it wasn't a big deal, but there was nobody in that row by us because I guess they all got relocated if they had those tickets. So I called PLD and Kim, and they come down like after like 2 or 3 songs, and they get down there. We were fortunate there was nobody in the row behind us either, so Kim was able to sit down and actually was able to pretty much see. But we had like a whole row of seats, like 8 seats to ourselves,
That's
and
awesome.
the sound there was phenomenal, obviously.
Yeah. I thought they sounded great. I thought Pantera sounded good, all things considered. I don't love that stage setup.
It's so
especially
bad.
yeah, for a band, especially like Metallica, they sort of do their own thing. They don't like get together and jam. They're
Right.
sort of in their own quarters. Your east stage left, your stage right, Hetfield middle, Lars in the back, whatever.
Mhm.
But like Pantera is such a jam band where they just like vibe off each other that I was like, wait, where the fuck is Rex? And I'm like,
Rex
the
didn't
whole
stop
time.
moving.
Yeah, I was like, Charlie's over there. Okay, where's Phil? Oh my god. So I still hope they do more shows on their own next year, and I get to see a proper curtain drop, a proper Pantera crowd of not too big. You know what I'm saying? But it was cool hearing. I would say maybe half that arena screaming "Respect Walk."
Yeah.
That was kind of cool to see, for sure.
Having seen I saw the original and I saw this. Obviously it's not the same thing, but it was respectful and I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
Nice, man.
it's not it's not Diamond Vinny, but it's about as close as you could ask for, I think, at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But yeah, that was a good time. It was good hanging out with you guys. Sometimes you're having a good time tailgating when you're like, oh shit, it's time to go into Metallica now.
Right.
Because I was in the pocket. I had that perfect buzz going. The rain's held up for us. We were supposed to get like washed out. It was a really good time. So
did you ever get that Pantera shirt?
I got the shirt. The shirt, but I went in and got it inside the stadium.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. Good stuff.
So speaking of like experiences, Juice apparently has a pretty interesting experience to share about a recent theater visit.
Yes. So I decided I'm going to see Killers of the Flower Moon. I was hanging out with some family that lives like an hour south of me, and there's a really nice theater like 30 minutes in between me and home. So I'm like, hang out with the family for a few hours. I can stop by and see Killers of the Flower Moon. It's a 3.5 hour movie. Pretty crazy, but 6:30 showtime, 30 minutes of trailers. It's not actually starting till 7:00.
Right.
And things are good for the first like hour. Things are good. Enjoying the movie, got my popcorn, soda. And then all of a sudden, it's not an empty theater, but like there's maybe like 4 people in each row.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be like, I was early when I picked the ticket. So I picked like one of the best rows in the middle, and everyone else just kind of like went behind or in front. So I had the whole row to myself, and everyone in the movie theater was great. That's not a movie where you just kind of go to because you just want to see a movie and you don't really care. If you're going to this movie, you're ready for a 3.5 hour movie. And then randomly, 5 maybe teenagers or so, I couldn't really tell, didn't get a good look at them at first, walk past me and sit basically right next to me. There's like 1 seat between us.
You gotta be
5 of them. And they're talking, phones are out.
Oh no.
Like they're just like, and I'm like, do they understand what movie they're in?
That's not the right movie for that.
So I'm like, okay, I'm like, there's 5 of them. There's 1 of me. I'm like, let me just see, like, maybe they just need to get it out for a few minutes and then they'll settle down. Or maybe they're, I couldn't really tell, still don't really know what age they were, but I'm like, maybe they just got done with like Taylor Swift or something and they're just waiting for their ride. So I'm like, I'll give it a little bit before something happens. And the phone was like just kind of out of my peripheral. Like I was just like, if I moved down, I think it would have actually been worse, but it was like, just so I'm like, if they start like watching a TikTok or something, or like start like listening to something, like I'm going to snap right there. Yeah. But whispers, 1 phone light, I'll let it go. And then it just kept getting worse, and they just kept talking was louder and louder. And so I start hearing the people in front of me be like, say something. They're not saying that to me, but like to one another. Like nobody wanted to be the one. So finally, like a couple different people got up, and I'm like, I think I know what's happening here. So they get, so eventually like 3 guys kind of come in with like flashlights. And the problem is where I'm sitting, I'm like sitting in front of them. So they're almost kind of hidden from these guys that are kind of like walking around with the flashlights, kind of figuring out like what's going on with this disturbances. And so all they probably can see is me. They probably can't even really see. They're like laying down, sprawled out. They're wearing dark clothes. And so I'm just like, I think I'm just going to get up and go to the bathroom, fill up my soda. And as I am, I see the security guys walking out with all like 5 of them. And as I walk past the security guys, I'm just like, thank you. And they're like, sorry about that. Yeah.
Was it just a thing
good.
where they were like, you guys got to go? And they were like, all right.
I think so. It seemed like that. And
It probably was they didn't have tickets for it, I bet. They
definitely didn't.
It's probably, can you show us your tickets? And I bet you, because when I worked at the theater, take a drink, that was the easiest way to kick someone out.
They were looking for somewhere to just like fuck around.
Exactly. Yeah. And they
like,
came in
go
and
see, like, what? Isn't there a shitty movie out that they can do that to? Like,
right.
Well, Taylor Swift, at least it's like super loud.
Swift. Yeah.
And like, they can, you can mess around in that, and I'm sure a lot of people probably have their phones out.
And they hand out the Kool-Aid on your way in. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that you missed an opportunity to go, no ticket. So disappointed.
Oh,
I am a wimp when it comes to conflict.
By the way, we got a $50 donation from Jake Yacovetta, who said, and I quote, was this enough of a donation for Mike to shut the fuck up?
Oh.
No. You got to make it like 10 times that for me to shut up.
I love you, Jake.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. That's gimmick infringement. That's you. That's you, Mike.
Fuck off, Jake.
There you go.
Thanks for not telling me to shut up, Jake. Appreciate it.
Dilly.
So that's not the reason I didn't finish the rest of the movie. I did only see half of it. It's just pretty simple. Like I've been kind of dealing with a little bit of some health issues lately, and I've been having a high heart rate. I got a nice Fitbit to watch and handle it, and I think I was having like a heart palpitation or something in the middle of the movie, and I'm sitting down and my heart rate's like really high, and I'm like, there's 2 hours of this movie left, and I'm a half hour away from home. So I was like, I can't really enjoy it because I'm just going to be thinking about my heart the whole time. And so I'm like, you know what? I have off Friday because we have the stream. I can probably catch just an afternoon showing.
Right.
Catch the rest of the 2 hours, enjoy it, maybe catch a little bit of the parts where I was distracted from my adversaries. And
the other thing, this is Apple released this movie, so it should be hitting Apple TV relatively soon.
I think it's 30 days.
Yeah. So even if you don't get to go to the theater again, that shouldn't be out of the question to see with their release structure.
All I'm saying is that wouldn't have happened in a Marvel movie because they're not cinema.
It's so weird. All the things that are happening in like a not coordinated, but a perfect storm collective of trying to destroy the theatrical experience. It's just like COVID, strikes, and now it's like, go see this movie if you want for $20 plus popcorn, or wait 4 weeks and see it at home. Like, I don't know what's going on. I like the theater experience, like I don't always get to go because of the kids and stuff, but if there's a movie, like if it's Star Wars or Top Gun Maverick, or a movie that has a twist, or I know it's gonna have a twist that I don't want to get spoiled, I'm gonna go. But I'm worried about the general population not going, and then theaters being taken from me, because we have this cool old school theater in my downtown, and it's like, guys, it's like legit. It's a small, tiny theater, and those ones that have the small little theaters with those little hallways, and you go down, and it's just like the carpet is that same maroon color, all that shit. And I don't want that. I don't want to lose that. I want to be able to take my kids to that and be like, this is called a movie theater, as opposed to being like how toy stores are gone, video stores are gone. Like, kids have a lot today that they're a lot cooler than we had, but a lot of those institutions that we grew up on, like literally just walking into a video store and like going to the video game section or whatever, that shit's gone. I don't want that to happen to the movie theaters. I don't know. It worries me a little bit. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We went this weekend and saw the re-release of Nightmare Before Christmas, and our theater's never busy. Like it's always, it was probably about maybe 10 people in the theater, but like there was 1 or 2 people singing along to the songs and stuff. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, this is a classic movie, and for something like that, that's totally fine. But for Killers of the Flower Moon, that's another story.
Yeah,
right. Like the one movie where people are actively making the conscious choice of, I want to watch this in a theater.
Yeah,
because it's Scorsese and it's DiCaprio and De Niro. And then, for that to be the movie where there's a bunch of kids coming in and
sneaking into it.
Yeah, because when I was walking back, I looked back to check because it tells you who's in what seat.
Right.
And my ticket was there, but there was nothing next to it.
There you go. Yeah, AJ was right. Or Mike, whoever said they didn't have a ticket.
Yeah.
So so you didn't get to finish it yet. You're going to go back this Friday, maybe?
Right.
You're saying?
Right.
So did you like what you saw so far? Or were you too distracted with all the bullshit?
No. Yes. I will say at this point, it sounds like one of these movies where I'm going to be like, that was awesome. Don't know if I'm going to watch this more than 3 times in my entire life. But it's everything is good. Everything is well. It's just, with it being 3.5 hours and even just 2 hours in, I don't know how often I'm gonna ever revisit it. But it's good. Everything is fantastic.
Nice.
It just doesn't have that hook that like a Goodfellas has, where you're just enjoying this world.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though there's not really much of a story, you just like being in the world.
Yeah.
But this isn't that.
Well, I knew a little bit of the history, not like the specific people in it, but I just had heard a little bit of like the phenomenon of marrying into the Osage tribe and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy history. So
right. So it's a very like, you don't. Yeah. It's like I'm very happy that they're telling this story, and it's a very important story to tell. But it's not like as a movie, just a fan of like, when I rewatch movies, I'm rewatching to re-enter that world. It's pretty depressing, and it's not a world I want to spend a lot of time in. I want to get it so that I can appreciate and know the history and know what happened, but it's not like, oh, I can't wait to go back and spend time in this world.
I don't want to spend time in the real world. That's depressing.
So it's like what Requiem for a Dream is for me. Requiem for a Dream was a phenomenal movie, and I never want to watch it again.
I was gonna say that exact same thing. Like that. There are some certain movies where, whether it's like, for me, if like the dog dies in it, or like there's certain movies with certain things that happen, like the end of the world, or like a kid's getting killed or whatever. Except Revenge of the Sith, you don't really see it, but. It's like there's certain movies you're like, why would I ever watch that again?
Right.
Like, it's like, imagine the psycho you have to be to, on a cold Sunday night, be like, I'm gonna pop on Requiem for a Dream. Let's get rid of the Sunday scaries by putting this fucking movie on.
Have a fun-filled afternoon or Schindler's List.
Right. Schindler's, that kind of came to mind.
It's like, same idea. Yeah. Great movies, but they're just tough watches.
You brought up Reservation Dogs. What I think is a fantastic movie is Wind River, that doesn't get enough praise, because that is like, the story is obviously I believe fictional, but like it has enough like movie tropes in it to like keep you hooked, and it's not overly long, so it's like you have characters you're actively rooting for, and there is like justice and stuff, so it's like it's fun despite the tragedy.
Subject matter. Yeah,
Well, have you guys seen Reservation Dogs?
I haven't.
Oh, it's just a day in the life on the res for like a bunch of teenagers. And it's somewhere between like Atlanta and like a live action version of the Boondocks, but native.
Interesting.
It's a movie or a show?
It's a show.
It's a show. I know what it is. I've just never watched
trailers,
it. Yeah. I'm too busy rewatching Scrubs in the Office for the 8,000th time.
Do you go all the way through season 9, or do you stop after season 7?
So, for The Office, I will because I like the end of season 9, and there are bits of season 8 I like, but there are episodes that I'm like, just skip this one. When it comes to Scrubs, I will go through season 8. 9 doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like
I heard
Scrubs
rumblings
had a
about
perfect finale.
Didn't Bill Lawrence say something on Twitter, like when Shrinking came out and got like a lot of praise?
Yeah.
Didn't he say something on Twitter about how he was thinking about us, like something to do with Scrubs, with like
There was
all them back?
Yeah, there was talks of doing like maybe like a Apple TV movie or something like that. I don't know if anything's ever come. Well, obviously the strike happened, so that put the kibosh on all that. But
Yeah.
he did say that they wanted to do it. I've listened to their Zach and Donald's podcast a lot, and
Oh yeah.
they would do it. Like there is no doubt listening.
Yeah, they're doing the T-Mobile commercials together. They're basically they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd see it. I don't know. I liked the new Dexter thing they did. And that was sort of like, let's give the show a proper ending. And it was much better than the final season of Dexter, in my opinion. So I don't mind if they're going to take a crack at this stuff. Like some of it doesn't work. Like if you wait too long, like the Dumb and Dumber 2 was awful.
So bad.
Like some things that just aren't going to hit or work because it's been too long. But I don't mind shows taking a crack at it if it had like just a dreadful ending. Jerry Seinfeld just said something about the end of Seinfeld. Him and Larry David are talking, right? Give it to me.
With Seinfeld, it's like you had. I'm not saying the worst of all time, but you had a letdown of an ending.
That was a bad ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that one I'd be fine with them taking a crack. Like they're finally let out of jail. Like that could be the story. Them getting acclimated.
That would actually be really good.
If they wound up getting sentenced to like 25 years in prison, yeah.
But what are they going to do about Kramer?
Oh gosh.
Are they just going to do a one-liner about how Kramer died in jail?
No, he'd come back. He'd have to come back.
They'd have
But
to
dude,
bring him
I don't
back.
know. Do you think they would?
Yeah. I think he's okay now, right?
I mean, that was a while ago.
He messed up
A while ago.
He was on Curb for that Seinfeld thing. He was on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I could see, like I would not want them to do a Seinfeld reunion without him. That'd be like trying to go see Van Halen without Eddie Van Halen or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
So
but he can't do pratfalls. He'd probably break his hip. He's like 75 years old.
I was going to show
How
real
old
quick.
is he?
I grabbed this off the wall because we talked about Scrubs. The Star Wars Celebration Chicago, Donald was there, and I got pictures of him.
That's amazing.
And so the great part about it, that you're going to love this, is I literally, because when you do a photo op, you get like 10 seconds. And so I was like, real quick, I was like, I just want you to know, every time I see Billy D. Williams, I hear your voice yelling Lando Calrissian. He clears his throat and yelled it. And I was like,
he did.
"You're
That's
just amazing."
That's so
I'm
cool.
cracking up in the picture. Like, it's a terrible picture of me, but I'm like, no, that is so candid because he just yelled Lando Calrissian. So I
Dude,
was
that-
so happy.
That dude is a vampire. Like he looks the same from like Clueless.
Oh my god, he looks the same from Remember the Titans. Like, yeah,
I don't get it, but hey, good for him.
Yeah. See, the one that I'm going back through right now, I haven't rewatched in like 10 years. I forgot how great Community was.
Oh, Community is
And-
such a fun show.
Now I just keep
Yeah.
on thinking, like, what if Dan Harmon and like the Russo brothers just kept on doing that?
Yeah, they had that one awkward season that Harmon didn't do, and it's obvious. And the Yahoo season's a little weird too because it doesn't have all the characters. But the ones that they have the full cast and Harmon's there, there's some gold in there.
Oh yeah. I'm right in the right at the end of season 1, right when Troy and Abed start to really be a thing.
Yeah.
Like the episode I just finished was the first Troy and Abed in the morning. Like, oh, it's so good. And by the way, best movie parodies of any show. Like when they did Star Wars with paintball and stuff like that, this is just so good.
Well, it's not just Star Wars. It's Star Wars, Dirty Harry, Die Hard. All of them are they have homages to all of them in there.
Oh yeah, and
And
like
of course, it got us, the Donald Glover, who that was partially responsible for everything that happened with the Miles Morales stuff, which got him into the Spider-Man universe, and it also indirectly led
Got
to
Lando.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I remember hearing about that fan cast for a long time, even before there was a movie. They were like, "This guy should play Lando."
Mm-hmm. So I knew him before that. He was on a YouTube channel called Derek Comedy, which some of the stuff has not aged well, but this is like early YouTube. Like if you go to like the early 2000s, and some of the stuff is very fun, very offensive, but hilariously funny. Like I knew who he was the second I saw him on Community, and from that you knew right away with that guy that like this dude's a superstar. Like because everything he did radiated off the screen, and I've been jonesing to see him like stretch his wings in a bigger way, especially if and when everything with the Lando project comes through, whatever the hell it's going to wind up being.
Yeah. Latest is they said his brother said it's a movie now, but
That
with
changed
Star
so
Wars-
many times.
with Star Wars and movies, it's just like, and I fall for it every time they announce a new movie. I'm like, yeah, and then it's
it
just
gets
like,
pulled.
yeah, creative differences, whatever. David S. Goyer saying that there were behind the scenes issues as to why his movie with Guillermo del Toro didn't work out. It's just like, man, just they got to make movies though. I think that is what's missing from Star Wars right now. I know it's crazy to say because there's been so many gaps between movies and Star Wars, but I've enjoyed these series. But Star Wars is, we talk about the theatrical experience. Like Star Wars put that stuff on the map. You could say Jaws maybe, but like there's nothing better than walking into a theater for the first time seeing a new Star Wars movie.
There's nothing better.
The Force Awakens, that movie premiere weekend was so good that
Unbelievable. I
don't-
have goosebumps not hearing you talk about it because I'm like thinking about how happy I felt. It's around Christmas time. Everyone's feeling good. There was no pandemic. We're getting a brand new Star Wars movie and apparently it's good. Yeah. Oh,
I didn't like Force Awakens. But
we got these
I love
at
that
our
experience.
We got these at our theater at Disney Springs, and we got to go to Hollywood Studios right after the movie ended. We got it was a special event thing. I had to get, this is before they had assigned seating there. I had to get to the theater for a 7:20 show at 3. Well, first off, we had to get there at 9 a.m. to get like an assigned number to be in line. And then we had to be back at the theater at 3 o'clock. And I was the 5th theater let in. They let my theater in at like 3:30 for a 7:20 show. So I sat in that theater for like 4 hours with nothing going on.
Oh my God.
I missed that. Although Force Awakens for me, the theater I was at, you actually bought an assigned seat before assigned seating was at that theater.
That sounds about right with mine too, I think.
But yeah, dude, midnight premieres. You remember midnight premieres? Oh,
Yeah.
They were the best. I saw Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones at midnight. So yeah, like Phantom Menace, we were still in high school at the time, John. Like I had to wake up. I had like 2 hours of sleep that night before I had to go back to school.
Dude, yeah. So I remember these dates because I just had such a good time. So it was like and I don't remember, a date from last month of something I did, but this I do. It was like May
Mhm.
12th, 1999.
Yep.
I skipped school with my friends and we went to go camp out for tickets because that's how you used to have to buy tickets. You wait in line and you first come, first serve. So we were sitting out there. There's people with tents, people with new lightsabers dueling and having fun. And it was like 90 degrees out that day. It was so hot. And we just had a blast. I'll never forget it. And then the next week after that's when it opened. It was like a Wednesday night, I think.
Yeah.
And I just remember because we talk about Force Awakens, but yeah, when Phantom Menace came out, there was so much hype because it was like there was just the
Unbelievable hype.
original trilogy, so it has to be amazing. This new movie is going to be amazing, and I bought into the hype. It tapered off after that, but now I like it a little bit more. So I'm like going through that journey, but that was a very cool time. And again, like it's those old experiences that my kids aren't going to get to experience, which I don't mind not having anymore. Like you're saying, like you saying you arrived at the theater 4 hours early is my nightmare. I do not want to do that. So I'm all about the assigned seating. I'm all about people getting the hell away from Juice when he's trying to watch his Flames films. Yeah, I'm all about that.
So you want to go full circle on what we were talking about before? I bought for Phantom Menace movie phone. So going back to Seinfeld, 777 film was how I got my tickets for Phantom Menace.
Wow.
There's no higher place than Mountain High.
Where's the
great
episode? Just remembering, like, where's the newspaper? Should we just call the theaters for the show times?
Oh yeah, we do all that stuff, man. Things are a lot easier now, and now people are just like, it's so easy, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to go through war to get into those theaters, man.
It's too convenient.
Now it's so easy. People are like, it's not. It's like when someone shows too much interest in you and you lose interest. It's like that. Movie theaters have shown us so much interest that people are like, I'm all right.
Imagine telling
I'll
us
just
in
stream it.
2006 if you paid $20, you could see as many movies as you want in a month.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Yeah, man. Is that the AMC thing?
Yeah. The MCA
There's
list.
a bunch of them
Like I have
it more.
it with tax. It's $24.50 a month, and I can see
Yeah.
3 movies a week if I want.
Yeah. They still have that?
Mm-hmm. Still exists. So like we went. My parents are still in Orlando, and my dad's birthday was the weekend that Indiana Jones opened, and the tickets for that theater at Disney, which we used to go to, were $21. So it's like the subscription's $24. So right there, just seeing one movie was just under the price of the subscription. So
That's, I mean, I can't even think of the last movie I saw in theaters now that I think about it.
Oh,
Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones. Yeah, the new Indiana
Yeah.
Jones.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I
It's
haven't
fine.
been since Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine
So
Bear
in
was
theaters?
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, dude, there was so
I
many
did too.
kids in that theater. There was so many children. Now I'm talking 7, 8 years old.
What?
In a movie called Cocaine Bear. Like, most of the movie fine for kids, most of it. But like what they did to character actress Margot Martindale in that movie, I would not show to a child.
Yeah, that movie's pretty. I actually had a lot of fun watching that movie.
It knew
I
what
was,
it
high, I
was.
was high as a kite, but I had a good time watching it.
Yeah. That movie knew what it was supposed to be and just went for it, and I appreciated it for that.
Yeah, I always, because I'm always like a champion for Alden Ehrenreich because he got a bad rap with Solo, I think.
Right.
But in the trailer, he has a line. He's like, "The fucking bear did cocaine," and I'm like, I believe him.
I believe that bear did cocaine.
If you can sell me on that line, you can act anything, man. So yeah.
His whole
He's been in a bunch of stuff lately, though. He was in he had a small part in Oppenheimer. I think he's making his own movies now. I think he's doing all right, I guess.
Oppenheimer was one, like, I'm usually not a big like awards movie type. That's not my particular stuff, but we went and saw it. I was astounded at how fast paced Oppenheimer was, considering its subject matter. Like, it's just men talking for 99% of the movie, and it's 3 hours and flies.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
still got to
does.
see it. I know I probably missed out on the theater thing, but
It's definitely gonna have a resurgence because it's gonna get nominated for everything.
Mike,
yeah.
I
I like
swear to
the song.
God, if when Honest Trailers do their Oscars thing, if their funny name for Oppenheimer is men talking, you just won this stream.
It's literally what it is.
Yeah.
But like there's I'm sure Kills of the Flower Moon is probably like this. Like they'll have a scene and then it like takes a minute to digest when it's moving into the next scene, and like Oppenheimer does not do that at all. And I know that it's probably partially because they had to keep it under 3 hours for the IMAX print size, so that might have contributed to it. But like the movie, it goes. It's on the gas the whole time, which is shocking.
Yeah, that is true.
What the hell happened with Mission Impossible? I thought Tom Cruise was bulletproof.
I loved it. Like I really,
Yeah, I didn't see it yet. Yeah, it was good.
It's gonna be in my it's in the conversation for my top 5 of the year right now in terms of what I enjoyed the most. I loved Mission Impossible, but I think it was twofold. One, it opened the weekend before Barbenheimer, and there was already all of that hype for that. And the other was people, for whatever reason, with a lot of these movies now, they see part 1 and they don't go see it in theaters. They wait for that one for streaming or whatever, and then part 2 they go see in theaters.
Did you read that they're renaming the second one because of the returns on the first one? So it's not going to be called
Not Dead Reckoning?
Yeah, it's not going to be called Dead Reckoning Part 2. They're going to have like a new subtitle.
Interesting.
It's going to be Men Jumping, I think. I'd take a little of your steam on that one, man.
Well, like minor spoiler, very minor spoiler, but the second one is probably going to be Men Scuba-ing. But
okay, there you go.
So Lego bring up the real point. It got crushed by Barbie.
Well, everything got crushed by Barbie.
It basically what happened with Infinity War and Solo happened to Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Right?
And I didn't think. I mean, I know I'm not target audience, but I didn't think Barbie was all that good. But who the hell am I to say?
I enjoyed it. Like, it's not like my number 1 of the year, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Haven't seen
Some
it.
moments.
What would you say? Like right now, I have a weird one for what my current number 1 is. I don't know if any of you've seen it. I mean, you can watch it on Amazon Prime now. My favorite movie of the year was Air, which I absolutely loved.
I just pulled up. I haven't updated my list since I've seen Barbenheimer and half of Killer of the Flower Moon. I think that's it. I had Tetris and Air as 1 and 2, but I only have 5 movies.
Right.
I have the other company movie, Blackberry and Dungeons and Dragons.
But apparently
Dungeons and Dragons and Blackberry.
Yeah,
Blackberry's getting released like as a miniseries for streaming, which is stupid as hell.
It was filmed to be either a three-part television event or a movie. So it was actually optioned to be that when it was purchased. So somebody could pick it up and option it to be that. So it's not as dumb as everything that happens these days, but yeah, it's still, come on, it's a movie. But yeah, it's yeah, Blackberry was phenomenal. It's basically just the evil version of Air.
Yeah,
like it's like a 0 hour in Airplane. Watch it back to back. It's insane. And then yeah, Dungeons and Dragons was biggest
great. I love Dungeons. Dungeons and Dragons was hella fun. And the other one that I really didn't even go to theaters. It went directly to Apple. Was the Michael J. Fox documentary Still?
Oh, that was great.
It's so good. Like if anybody in here has not watched that yet, go watch it because I don't know if it's going to make you feel good necessarily, but the way he tells his story is so compelling, and it is pretty heartwarming at parts. Like his life has obviously been, with everything that happened to him, is very difficult, but just the way he approached it all, makes you feel like you can take on an army watching him after that.
I agree with that. Like, it definitely puts things into perspective, and like, little issues that I may have or whatever. I'm like, man, like you see people who operate through life with like no fingers and stuff, and they know how to open up beer bottles and soda cans. They just learn how to go, and it's just that stuff. Yeah, it's a bummer because he got sick so young too.
Right.
He's been sick since his Spin City days in the mid '90s.
It was even earlier than that, like because it came out like
Back to the Future 3 or whatever. Yeah,
it came out that like it was like the late '80s when he got the diagnosis.
Yeah, and it's just a bummer because it's like Back to the Future is definitely what he's going to be probably known most for. Maybe Family Ties for some people, but like, and it ended nicely. But you got to imagine that just like with everything else, if he never gotten sick, they probably would have explored that again, because with time travel, like you could explore these recent last 30 years and play with that. So that's kind of a bummer too, because I know that's something that I think you still see him, like he hasn't run away from Back to the Future. Like he always comes back to the cons. He's always meeting up with Christopher Lloyd, Robert Zemeckis. Like he still appreciates all that stuff. So that's another like what if as well, which isn't as important as his life, of course, but his life's work. Like I think that would have been so cool if they could get that whole gang together and have revisited that. But I wouldn't want them to do it without him, and it just it got too late in the game for it, I think.
And Back to the Future is one of those things that like it's a property. It's when you really think about it, Back to the Future is a weird movie. Like the John Mulaney skit about Back to the Future is one of the funniest things you will ever hear in your life. If you've never heard it before, check it out.
No.
John Mulaney talking about Back to the Future. It's fantastic.
All right.
But like, don't touch it. Don't that's Marty and Doc. Do not reboot it. Leave it.
I agree. Yeah. It'd be tough to do. That's like Matthew Vaughn recently saying, like, if you ever did Star Wars, he would want to reboot it. I'm like, what kind of target do you want to put on your back? Like, people were pissed when they did sequels with those characters. If you want to redo it, one, it'll never happen because the blasphemous nature of doing that to George Lucas just doesn't seem like that would ever happen. And two, like Star Wars is like treats how it makes its movies and shows as though it is real, and they're just documenting it and showing it to us. Like that's the reason why we see cartoon CG Luke, is because they want to suspend disbelief. It's like I always make the comparison. Like sometimes I forget that Carrie Fisher wasn't in Episode 9 because J.J. Abrams did such an amazing job with those pieces.
Right.
That if they had recasted her and all of a sudden like Julianne Moore rolls up and she's like, "I'm General Organa," I would be like, "Get the F out of here!" Like, no, you're not. I'm sorry. That's why I didn't like Hannibal as much, because it wasn't Jodie Foster. I couldn't separate. I could separate. I couldn't make the connection that was Clarice Starling. It like killed that awesome movie for me. Yeah, even though Ray Liotta was so good, underratedly so good in that movie, by the way. Hannibal.
That's a movie that I agree with you so much. Like that came out the senior year of high school, and like, geez, I saw that in theaters, and I was like, this is so good, but it could have been better. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was well made. It was a well-made movie. Yeah.
And then the prequel, Red Dragon, I thought was excellent. Like, I actually really liked Red Dragon.
Did you like that? So, would you like that better than Manhunter?
I have like things of each I like. Like they're close. They're almost neck and neck with me. I just like the fact that Red Dragon does tie into Silence of the Lambs, whereas Manhunter was its own thing.
So I do have a question. Does Manhunter also end on that sick ass Papa Roach lyric?
Oh wow.
I don't remember that happening in Red Dragon. I haven't seen Red Dragon in a while. What was it? Was he like talking about last resorts or something?
No, the last line is our scars remind us that the past is real.
Oh God, no.
That predated that song, I think.
It did.
Yeah. Maybe that's where they got it.
He lifted it from the movie?
He might have.
Just watch a movie. Ooh, that's good. Write that down.
Yeah. Oh man. No, Manhunter just sort of ends with well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like a 40-year-old movie.
Yeah.
It's just like Graham just like steps outside the crime scene, and his like son's there, and he's like, "Hey, let's go look at the turtles." And that was it. That's how the movie ends. And I think Papa Roach probably has a song called "Let's Go Look at the Turtles."
I was about to say if they don't, they should. That's a band.
They're still making music.
They are still making music.
I don't love their music per se, but that's one hell of a live band. Like if you go to a festival or something and they're playing, go watch them. They are fun to watch.
But have you guys? So, are you a fan of Five Finger Death Punch?
Not at all.
Nope.
So there's a couple of their songs I like, and I think sonically some of their music is produced well, but I've seen clips of them like doing clear, like not even backing track vocals, but like front track vocals, and like the singer is apparently this total douche. Like, what's the deal with that band? Like, how they getting like all these opening slots, and like what's going on? Does anyone know what's the deal is with that freaking band?
So you saw more of them than I did, AJ. Like, because I went and met up with a friend on the concourse. Like, what was your response to you and PLD were in there? What was your response to them?
We were not paying attention. I was also like, gotta remember where I actually was during that trip. So,
right.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I mean, that's enough of a review as it is. So,
yeah.
Well, I can say this: like we got to the Sunday show. We completely missed Ice Nine Kills. Because we were at our hotel. We had a hotel that was like maybe 2 or 3 miles away from MetLife for the second night, and there was Buffalo Wild Wings there. So we went, and Buffalo Wild Wings, if you don't know, has $3 Kolsch's all the time. So we went where we got $3 Kolsch's.
Oh man!
So
how many of those are bad?
Yeah, so we were there until like right about when Five Finger went on. We were walking in, and I got a message from somebody I grew up with. Was like, "Oh, I'm here tonight. Let's meet up." So I met up with them, and AJ and Paul go to the seats, and I was in the actual bowl for maybe 2 or 3 minutes of them, and there were. I'm not saying there was nobody rocking out to them, but like by comparison, if you go 2 nights before to Pantera, it was a very small fraction of the crowd that was interacting with Five Finger as were with Pantera.
Dude, how big do you think? Like, say Pantera, like say all the members of Pantera were still alive, but they had the same amount of time broken up. That they probably would have exploded doing their own tour.
They could have put that in stadiums on their own if Vinny and Dime were still alive and they got back together. That stadium.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that would have been like. Like, who knows how long, like, Dimebag Darrell could have kept drinking the way he was and all that stuff, because he could have found the grave another way. Like, his brother died of heart issues because of all the booze and whatever he was doing. But if they kept going, and they're like, Pantera's coming back in 2022, because I just saw Blink 182 with their comeback, and I'm all in on that now, and I love their new album. So I'm thinking about that. I'm like, with Pantera, I'm like, man, if all 4 of those guys got back together, because people have responded well to this thing, like you were saying, Mike, it's not it, and it never will be. But for the age the guys are and what they did, Charlie and Zach, they did a great job. And if you imagine if the brothers were together, you're right. Yeah. Maybe like they'd sell out some stadiums. I don't know.
Juice, I don't know if you saw this. I know it's a band that you're exposed to at Dream Theater.
I was going to bring this up. Yeah, Mike Portnoy.
I saw Dream Theater. That.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite drummers of all time. So, and I haven't really listened to much Dream Theater post like the first album after he left. So, and I love him, and he's even featured on a lot of like different side projects that I like. Like,
he did a lot of stuff after Dream Theater.
Yeah. Is he the pizza guy?
That's his brother. No. Mike Portnoy was a big influence on me when I was like a young drummer, in high school, and listening to the music, and he did so much, not just as the drummer, but even just with the lyrics and like
He
right,
was. Like what I was about to say is like there's very, very few acts that I can think about this. There's a couple, but like as the drummer, he was the most well-known member of that band.
yeah, and like he had a 5-song saga between their last 5 albums with him, all like creating one huge song that all reference one another, and he wrote like all that. I don't know how much of the music he wrote, but he wrote all the lyrics and stuff, and so just like him and John Petrucci, the guitar player, like together, like that's a duo that can create some beautiful music. So
it is kind of cool that they've had at least the guitarist and bassist, and now returning the drummer, like still intact. Where, there's a lot of bands, like, we were talking about the Pantera thing, and like when you have big icons like Dimebag Darrell, it's a different thing. But there's a lot of bands you go see. It's like, we're going to go see Bush tonight. I'm like, no, you're seeing Gavin Rosdale and these other guys.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, like, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and there's, I don't even know if there's any original members of Megadeth left besides Mustaine. Ellison's not there. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So then when you see a band that, Dream Theater, they're getting him back. But the fact that the other two guys have been there since 85, it's pretty cool. But I didn't know. So Justin, you started as a drummer and then you went into piano stuff?
Yep.
Oh, right on. Okay. That's what James did from my podcast. He started as a drummer and then he went into doing keyboards for his band. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of drummers, but there's not many guitar players, so that's kind of the philosophy.
he didn't do guitar. When you were busting those things out in those promos, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
So sick.
Yeah, it's a shame Schmodown ended like shortly like after that, because that was my first season, and then the next season they tried to, it didn't work out. I miss that stuff though. Do you guys ever look back on that stuff? Yeah, right.
Oh yeah,
just the camaraderie and everything that came out of it, like.
That is the number one. Yeah.
It was the community aspect of it. That just, and we do our best here, and we have a small pocket of it. And the vast majority of people who are in our chat and follow us in some way, shape, or form are here because of that. Mm-hmm. And I was going to bring this up on Friday, but I'll bring it up right now because I'm like, this was the first full year we've done this show without the crutch of the Schmodown. And, we've definitely like seen ups and downs because of it, because there was a lot of times where there would be somebody who was super hyped that we were able to get on our show and all of a sudden we'd have buzz about it. And we lost that. Like, we don't have that anymore. But at the same time, we've got such a loyal and dedicated like group of friends. It's not even like fans. I don't call anybody who watches our show fans. It's friends. Such a dedicated and awesome group of people who watch us and interact with us, and we do our best whenever we can to go out and meet. Like, we met up with you in MetLife, and John Mastrina came and met up with us, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff. Like, I have 3 Schmodown related weddings next year. Like,
wow,
like it's crazy with all this kind of stuff. So
yeah, it is.
Speaking of which, congrats, Dan and Mara are getting married next week. If you didn't know that, like,
I remember when she told me that they got engaged. It had to have been about a year ago.
Yeah.
And she was
they got engaged at Sam Levine's wedding.
Yeah. She told me that story, and I was like, oh my god, that's so amazing, and like, what a great pair. Like, you want that story to end the way it's going with them being together. I like that. Yeah. I haven't talked to them in a while too, so I don't know if they watch or whatever, but I miss you, Dan and Mara. You guys are awesome. Everyone, I mean, almost everyone in the Schmodown's awesome,
So many people that were like such high quality. There was only like 1 or 2 people I met ever that like really rubbed me the wrong way.
I still talk to a lot of the old dungeon people. Like Wit will come on our podcast sometimes, and we nerd out about like Star Wars stuff. He's the best. The Kaiser, Robert Parker, Molly. I don't want to not name everybody, but they're just, and everyone, all you guys I met out at Spectacular and just hanging out at the bars and just having a good time. Like, man, that's so cool.
that's what the legacy of the show in the long run is. And as much as it was a movie trivia show that had wrestling promo aspects to it. The legacy of that show is the people it brought together.
Somebody, I don't know if somebody like take it over, but somebody should start it up again and like do it maybe like once a year and just have it this gigantic one-time event.
One time.
thing. Yeah.
For all the fan. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Like the
Musas and Benny-
WrestleMania, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
do it. That's it. No Royal Rumbles, no SummerSlams. Just know that whatever money you're using to spend to get out there is going to be for that one thing so that everybody goes to it. I think that'd be cool. But I mean, I think I don't know about Harloff's not being involved, how that would go, but I do miss it. And like you said, I think the camaraderie and the people you meet and all the different personalities, just all connecting over movies, the way that people who don't love movies will never understand. Like my wife likes movies, but she doesn't love movies the way I do. And I'll talk about something very nuanced or specific, and she won't get it. She's like, I don't get why you care about that element of that so much. But then I talk to like my buddy Mike when we do our pod, and it's just like that's these are our people, like people who are like PJ Campbell. Like I loved talking with him when I was out in California about the little things that seen in a movie that only you would know, like in Old School when his seatbelt doesn't work at the beginning, like stuff like that. We were laughing about, and other people are like, I don't what. So I definitely miss that stuff.
Yeah, it definitely was so much fun, and we definitely, all of us here, like we miss what it was, but it's nice to embrace what it brought us. And I hate to say something like this in a way, but like it ending the way it did, I don't know if it was like past its peak, because it might have been, but it didn't end on a complete whimper. Like you talk about something like Scrubs doing that extra season that ruined it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen there. Like the circumstances that caused it to end. But I think everybody has the fond memories of it. There's nobody saying, "Oh, that last season was a waste" or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just exists in a liminal space.
I've still not watched one single match from the last season.
Really? You should go back and watch
I knew it was
action
ending.
reunion.
So it's like,
Yeah.
how can I get invested when I know it's So
That's a good point.
Yeah, the
it's
action
tough.
reunion was the one that was most worth it. That and Wild Berries versus Video Drew.
I'm
that
sure
was-
one day I will kind of go back and then catch some of the highlights. But
You got to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
tough.
just
It's tough.
pull the curtain back just a hair. The last thing I'll say about this is after it had gotten announced that it was ending and they had not yet filmed Spectacular, I actually was with Ben Bateman. The two of us were hanging out in Universal, and he was just telling me what was going on. Didn't go into like a boatload of details, but just kind of like said, this is kind of what they're planning as the finale and all of that. And I was just listening to him. I was getting kind of like teary eyed, like, oh, well, like they're going for the full nostalgia bit of it. At that time that I was with him, he wasn't on the show, and they fit him onto the show because they were like, we can't do this without you. He was very upset that he wasn't going to be on it. And like a week later, they figured out a way to get him on it. But when he was just talking about that, I'm with Ben, and I'm also like Juice, that I didn't watch everything on the last season. And I'm just sitting there like, oh, geez, like this is making me so sentimental for what everything this was. And that's how I want to remember it. Like the things that made me feel something, regardless of what the feeling was, but it did. It was like regular viewing for us. It was like Tuesdays and Fridays. That's what we watched.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I definitely watched before I got involved with it. And Robert Parker is the one who got me involved. He put my name in Kaiser's ear, and I had known Christian for a while, but Kevin Smets is another name. Like that guy is like the best guy in the world, and he was like, so he's going through like cancer treatment, and he's calling me before my match like, hey, you cool, man? I'm like, are you cool? Like I'm like, you doing all right, man? And he's like, hey, yeah. He's like, this is what you got to do. He's like, you got to eat some blueberries and you got to like do these box breathing. And he's like, we're going me through this whole thing. And there I am doing my match, which I ended up winning. So then like, and I didn't have a big part in Schmodown at all. I had like 3 matches, but then I'm at Spectacular in the balcony watching his return and his daughter's there with his wife. And I felt like an idiot because I'm like, I'm like this guy's best friend, but he means a lot to me. And I'm like tears streaming down my face.
I was crying.
I was like so happy for him. I like, oh my God. And then he had a great ending for Schmodown, not to spoil anything, but he had a nice ending to his career. But what another great guy that, you know, because of Schmodown not being around, I don't get to connect with as much, but at least we still have this space and others. He does his podcasting and stuff. So I can go rattle down all the names of people that I love. You guys too, of course. It's just the whole community is just awesome overall, like 99.9% awesomeness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you meant to imitate his voice perfectly, but you do a great Smets.
Who does? Me?
You, yeah. I think you just subconsciously like slipped into it.
We'll have to have him watch this, and then he could be like, I don't sound like that. I did his ADR work in Newsies.
Nice.
I feel like
you were 11.
I feel like I barely have interacted with Smets, like not very much overall throughout the years, but I posted a picture. Me and my buddy was over at my place and we were just kind of like going through some old stuff. We were watching like the 2000s Ninja Turtles series when we were kids, which was not that long ago. And then I had like 90s Lode Runner on like my screen. And so it was like the TV with the show and the Lode Runner, me playing Lode Runner. And Smets commented, I feel like we would have been best friends in another life where we grew up in the same neighborhood. LOL. I'm like, where is that coming from? But like,
that's cool, man.
Oh my gosh, that's
Smets messaged
from you.
Me, yeah, the day after that Spectacular, because like he was getting swarmed, and we wound up going out to Barney's, and I didn't really get to see him. And I get a message from Smets the next morning. He texts me. And he's like, I'm so sorry I didn't see you last night. I'm like, dude, you had this. Why are you thinking about me right now?
That's who he is, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good dude.
John, this has been fun. This has been a lot of fun. We definitely need to do this, periodically, like, quarterly or something like that, bring you on and
yeah.
Just reminisce about some old stuff. And you've always been one of our favorite guests. And, you talked about Spectacular. I had such glowing things to say about you. The first time you and I met was one of the nicest experiences I had that whole weekend. And,
when we realized like the slow 3-step process of realizing we were born on the actual same day.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was great.
Like, I'm October too. Oh, cool. What day? 20? No way. Me too. What year? 82. What time? No, I'm just kidding.
It did get to that. Yeah, we did get.
Our mothers were holding hands. No, but,
what time was I born? Quit talking. To her.
Exactly. Yeah, this hour flew by. So thanks. Yeah, anytime, man. Hit me up because usually like summer's crazy for me, but this time of year, for whatever reason, as long as the kids are down, I'm usually pretty available if I'm not doing TRB stuff. So always good to. Whether we're streaming or not, always good to see you guys, hang out with you guys.
Yeah. Ooh, one more thing on the last season of Schmodown though. Did you see the Jeff episode?
Jeff Snyder?
No. Jeff eats corn the long ways.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
For roping.
I like that. You're a jabroni.